I'm back with another podcast. This is much better than making a video because for many reasons. One reason is that you get to think without having to be bothered with what you see in the camera. So you can just focus on your voice rendition and the way your expressions that you want to speak, and not particularly be bothered about how you look, your facial expressions and all that. So that reduces one effort. It gives you more power to focus on one thing, and that is to what you're speaking. So this is much better. So what is the topic? Usually the podcasts are like two-way conversations. You need two people. And what I am trying to do here is just have a monologue, you can say, which means it's just one person doing it all. So, but then creative people are very imaginative. They've got a lot of imaginations. Wild and perverted and all kinds of imaginations. You can say divergent thinking, which means that to one problem you have so many thoughts coming up which can be a solution to one problem, and I really like that. So that's one advantage of being creative. You have so many thoughts. You give them one problem, they can think about a variety of solutions. In the sense, they can be a solution, not particularly a solution. So there are a lot of thoughts which come up for one problem, and you can just apply that and see if that is going to be a solution. You never know, right? So that is one thing which I really like in creativity, that you can think in many ways and not just one way. And that is something I have noticed very much in small children as well. They have a lot of thoughts because when you give them one instance, one context, you can see that they come up with a variety of ideas in that one context which you may not have ever thought about. So that's one thing which I really like. So here, when you make a podcast, you just have to apply a little of creativity and cope with the absence of another person by doing it yourself. Probably you can compensate for both and do it yourself. Right? It means that I will ask the questions and I will give the answers. That's how it works. Right? So unless this is a competition, you are trying to compete with someone, you can try out anything, any way you like it. And that's one freedom which we often don't utilize. In the sense, you have the freedom to do things any way that you like. Unless it is a competition, you are going to be marked and your score gets noted. It's so much of freedom. You can do it any way you want. But then why are we not utilizing that freedom many times? So that thought had come to me from yesterday. I've been thinking on this, and I said you can try out creativity and play for both of them. You have seen small babies and toddlers, how they play with their tea set and the kitchen and the house and the doctor. Every instance of our daily life, children, they observe it, they register it, and then when you leave them alone, they usually recreate all those instances, particularly the ones that has left some kind of impression in them. Probably the recent ones, probably the ones that had been deeply registered within them, probably. But they play a lot of these instances. And when they do that, very often they are alone. They don't have a company, and if they have a company, it becomes difficult to come to a decision on which who is going to play which role and what game they are going to play. So they do most of the things alone, and they do it very well. I watched it because I am a mother, and I brought up two children when to a certain age. So I've seen a lot of childhood and babyhood and the toddlers, how they play. Even when I worked, I've observed. I'm very obsessed about children. Right from the very, very young age, I am obsessed with babies and children, the innocence and ability. It's very, 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 very stimulating to just keep a distance and watch them. Things change only when you get closer to them, because a lot of, as I said, a lot of their innate abilities kind of, I don't know why it gets manipulated and it's all changed after a while, because a lot of it is that they try to be somebody they are not, probably to just get into your good books. They want to please you. They're scared if they don't do it some way, they're going to be punished. There's so many reasons children change themselves to become somebody else they are not. But before that stage, and that's not it, they are also changed by how we want them to be. We kind of mold them, channel them, and make them the way we want to be. So I'm not just telling it's something wrong, but it's quite natural for that's a way it happens in the society, because we don't let anybody just grow like that the way they like to be. We try to put restrictions, we try to channel them, walls around, and make it like that. But otherwise, basically, children, have seen that they are innately curious, and they're very creative. So this aspect which I was just talking about, like they play a lot alone, and I've seen that they play many roles at the same time. They can do it for 2 to 3 people at the same time. Just like, so I was thinking, if I'm creative, why can't I do it both the roles? If a podcast is about conversations of more than one person, you just have to be creative and do it all for the other people that is missing, right? You can do that. So that brings us to one point, that if it is not a competition, if it is not something that you're doing as a business to please somebody else, which involves many other people and from which you are getting some return, probably you can try it differently, and that is the ultimate freedom, of learning. When you are given a chance to do it just however you wish to do it. So if you have some sense of creativity, definitely that's going to help you develop that particular art or that particular activity which you are doing into something else. I'm telling you. In sense, you just imagine that you like a game of basketball and you're in the court, you have a ball, you have a basket, you have no other idea of what it is about or the rules of the game. This is the first time probably you're just getting there in the field, in the court, and there is nobody else there. So definitely you have the freedom to do whatever you want there with the basket, with the ball, and just being yourself. So that is the ultimate freedom which we have to utilize, where you make your own platforms. So just like you want to develop your speech, you want to develop your voice, you can do it if you realize how important this is. The ultimate freedom of creativity is when you are not bothered about doing things in a certain way. because it is a freedom, it's a privilege which you are denied usually when you're living in a society, because we want it in a particular way. Either we try to imitate others and make it sound like that, or it's from the adults, it's from the elders, it's from the experienced people. They want us to do it in a particular way, and so we are denied of this freedom. So think about it. I told you about the basketball court. Now imagine you have, there's a saying that we don't do a great many things by by writing or drawing between the lines. It's always when you have the freedom to do whatever you want, when you've given the canvas and the colors, and you are just let to do whatever you want with that. Creative people, through their mistakes, they do masterpieces, which means that they do their best efforts, they put in their best efforts, and they can create something like a masterpiece by and through the mistakes they commit. So for that, we have to value this, utilize the platforms that you have where you can experiment with things and work on yourself, whatever it be. If you feel you are good in something, or that you are interested in something, and you are still not put in with a tutor, or there is no coaching that you have been getting for this, it's okay. Still, what is that you want to do? Do you have any platforms where you can just improve that area and do things better? Find out, and you can do it. So that's what I've been doing. And in a way, I feel that, I am a kind of person who derive inspiration and motivation from anybody who does something good. That's one good quality I have. This is a very interesting question. I'm kind of diverting from that topic to this topic. In the sense, I'm just telling you, you can ask yourself this question: what are the things that you find is good in you? What qualities do you have? What are the good qualities that you have? So that's one question you should always ask yourself, because you get so many answers. Make a note of them. So see that one quality in me, one quality is that I get a lot motivated from others when I watch them do something good. Yeah, and I not only encourage them, I also take and derive inspiration out of them. So that's one thing you can do. You can look around. What are the things that inspire you? There is no lack of. We are living in a world where we have a connection with technology, and if you don't have exposure, you still have things in your hand, and you have opportunities. You have many instances that can make you motivated. So there are people who are doing things better than you. There are people who do things good in many areas of their lives. Is it something that inspires you? So take inspiration from them. If that is one of your good quality, you will never stop growing, because you will find many people who do many things so good, and you can keep getting inspiration out of it. Encourage them, appreciate them, and also derive that inspiration from them. It'll never stop you grow. It'll just keep motivating you to do better. Right. So what I do in this area is that you can derive inspiration from others, and when you do that, you don't need a particular coaching in that area. You can be inspired and try to improve that area which you think you are interested in, or which you believe you are good at. I'm talking about the basic things in the sense that at the lowest level, that is, which can be utilized by everybody. Recognizing what you are good at. That is one point. Everybody is good in something. I believe in that. But the thing is that we try to be somebody else most of the time. We try to please other people rather than focusing on what we are good at. What we do is we try to please somebody else, and that is one big mistake. That is the reason we don't realize what we are good at. So what are we good at? There are many points. Make a note of them. 1, 2, 3. I'm good in this. I'm good in this. I'm good in this. This is one good quality in me. Know what you are good at. That's very important. That's a basic thing. If you don't know it, somebody else is going to impose it on you, and you will never know what you're good at, right? So that's how it goes. So coming back to the point, these are the fundamental two things which I thought I would just speak on how creativity can be induced into these podcasts. The thing is that if you don't have the resources which you have as of now, you should be able to do something good out of what you already have. Because if you are doing something, that means you are so inspired. You have that push from within you. The difference basically between an ordinary person and an extraordinary person, they say, is the efforts they put in. Innately motivated. It's not that somebody else has put on that pressure. It just comes from within them, and it just hits the wall like the high tides, you can say. It keeps coming and hitting the wall because that push is there from within. No matter where you plant them, it just comes from within them. So what happens is that all the other restrictions there is around you does not matter at all. It makes no sense putting them in those kind of surroundings where they lack motivation. They lack all the, which the things that other people get. It is not there for them because it just happens from within them. They want to grow. They want to do better. They're just trying to reach out every way. It just happens from within them. So that kind of, I'm talking for that level where you have that innate feeling of wanting to grow, wanting to know what you're good at, so that you can invest in that, and you can just grow. So the basic thing is that you must know what you are interested in. Interest is a different thing, and what you are good at is a different thing. Probably you are interested in singing and playing or painting or drawing, in your voice, in your body, fitness. God has given us so many things which we can grow and which we can, which will give us the strength that we want. It gives us confidence. For example, a simple thing is your physical, the way you look. Some people are very good looking. Some people have a very good personality. Some people have good features, a charming face, charismatic personality, you can say. And it all comes from looks. Have you seen that? I've seen it many times, and I've told those people, as I spoke in the last podcast also, I've said to them, you look so good. Can you just work with this? It's for some reason God has given you this look, and you don't know at all that you look so good. So that's how it is. Let's not get confused from going there, but I'm just telling you, there is so much good in you. Whoever it is I'm talking to you. You are so special because there is so much good in you. But do you know what is good in you? Many people have told you what you are not good at. People often keep telling us what we are not good at. You are not good at this. You are not doing this right. You don't do it well. We know it so much. We have compared ourselves a million times with other people to only realize that we are not good like them in some areas. But forget about that. Let's talk about the good in you. Has anybody told you you are good in this? And forget about what other people have told you. Do you know what you are good at? Do you know what are your interests? Do you actually know what are the good qualities you have? And forget about other people. Think about yourself, what you feel about it. Make a note of it, because if you work on that, it's going to help you. And creativity has a lot to do with that. So if you're creative, I'm telling you, you can start from the basics, because when you are alone, when you were a child, you were very creative. What happened through these years as you become an adult or as you enter your teenage, what happens is that we lose a lot of creativity only because we try to please others and try to focus on the scores and try to put up a lot of unnatural ways of being ourselves and doing things, and that's the reason we are not creative. So when it comes to podcast, you need somebody with you. You cannot play for other person. You can do that actually. I've tried it many times. When I'm not recording, I can do so many things so well than when I do a podcast. In the sense, when I know I'm doing it for somebody else, I imagine there are some audience in front of me who I am talking to, and that becomes a pressure. It builds up some kind of pressure. So if I'm able to forget that there is any audience at all, and I'm doing it for myself just for fun, I do it so much better. That's because I am relying on the basic. In the sense, the fundamental of it is that if you're doing things not for a reward, not for somebody else, just being yourself at the basic level, you do it much better. You are so creative. You can play for 2 or 3 people yourself. You don't need anybody else. So try doing things at the basic level. How good you are at it. Try that. It actually works. It works for me, and I'm trying to work on that level, and I'll be probably improving every day in some way. Like, at least, if you know that there is some kind of pressure that builds up when you do a podcast or when you're speaking, what you have to do is do it more and more. Do it once, do it twice. The next time you will be much better than the first time. You can overcome. I have a lot of stage fear. You won't believe that. I've always had that. But the thing is that I knew that if I get more and more chances to do it, experiment with it, I'm going to get over it. So the things that you want to improve are the things that you must be doing very often, many times, because each time we get better at it, whatever it is. So the only suggestion that I would like to give you today is that make a note of the things that you're good at. Make a note of the things that you are good at. 1, 2, 3, 4. At least you will come up with 2 points that you're good at. And also make a note of the interest that you have. I'm interested in this. I'm interested in this. Alright? So work on these 2 things. One is knowing what you're good at. Second is your interest. You can work on both these things, and at the basic level, what you can do to improve those 2 areas. It's going to build your confidence up, and it will just help you encourage it. It'll encourage yourself without the need of somebody else telling you what you're good at, what you're not good at. I'm telling you this. All right. Take care. I'll be back with another podcast probably next week, and have a good time.